I answered a 911 call that shouldn't have existed. The timestamp said it came in at 2:17 a.m. That was impossible because I didn't start my shift until 3. I've been a dispatcher for over 6 years, mostly nights. You get used to background noise, ringing phones, and repetitive emergencies. Most calls are minor. False alarms, traffic accidents, cats stuck in trees. You barely remember them. This one stayed with me. When I put the headset on, the line was already open. No ringing, no greeting, just breathing. At first, I assumed it was a pocket dial. It happens constantly. I started my standard opening anyway. 911. What's the address of your emergency? The breathing stopped. Then a woman spoke. Calm. Clear. Too clear for someone who was supposedly in danger. I think someone's in my house. I asked for her address. She gave it immediately. No hesitation. A residential street, about 10 miles from the dispatch center. Everything about the call felt routine. Too routine. I asked where she was in the house. In the bedroom, she said. I locked the door. I could hear something faint in the background. Not footsteps. Not a voice. More like movement. A soft dragging sound, like furniture being nudged. I started typing the call entry while she spoke. That's when I noticed the system's call duration. 8 minutes. I hadn't even been logged in that long. I checked the console to my left, thinking maybe another dispatcher had transferred it. No transfer record. No previous operator ID. The call history was blank. I asked her if anyone else was in the house with her. No, she said. Then, after a pause, not supposed to be. Her voice didn't shake. That bothered me more than if it had. I dispatched officers while keeping her on the line. She followed instructions perfectly. Barricade the door. Stay quiet. Keep the phone line open. I asked her what room she was in exactly. She said the bedroom at the back of the house. I asked if the windows were locked. Yes, she said. I asked if she could see outside. No, she whispered. I asked if she had a weapon. No, she said, her voice flat. Every answer was calm. Every answer was precise. Every answer unnerved me more than panicked screaming ever could. At one point, she stopped responding. I called her name. She had given it earlier, without being asked. No answer. I could hear the same dragging sound again, closer this time. Then something else. A second breath. Not hers. I asked if she was still there. Yes, she whispered. I'm here. I asked what was happening. She didn't answer right away. The silence stretched. Then she said, they're standing outside the door now. I asked who they were. She said, I don't know. Her whisper didn't sound afraid. It sounded careful. Officers radioed that they were 2 minutes out. I told her that. She acknowledged it. Then she said something that made my hands stop moving. They're asking me why I called you. I asked her to repeat that. They know about you, she said. They said your name. I hadn't given it. Dispatch protocol says to remain calm. Stick to the script. Do not speculate. I asked her what she meant. Before she could answer, the line filled with a low noise. Not static. Not interference. It sounded like someone pressing their mouth directly against the phone. I leaned back, trying to stay composed. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I didn't move for several seconds. Then silence. I waited. Tried calling her name again. No answer. I radioed the responding officers, repeating the address, the situation, everything she had told me. I felt my throat tighten as I spoke. This was standard protocol, but it didn't feel normal. The officers said they were less than a minute away. I instructed her to stay quiet. I told her exactly what to do. Barricade. Remain low. Keep the phone on. She followed every instruction without hesitation. Then, again, the low noise returned. A voice. Very close. Not her voice. A male voice this time, deep, quiet, but direct. I froze. She whispered one last thing before the line went dead. They're asking me why I called you. Then the call disconnected. Officers arrived immediately. The street was quiet. No lights on inside the house. No movement. No sound. They checked the windows, the doors. Everything was locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry. No woman. No footprints outside. They called it in. I documented the call as unverified. No recordings. No file. No record of the call ever existing. According to the system, I never took it. But when I logged out at the end of my shift, the timestamp was still there. 2:17 a.m. Call duration, 8 minutes. My employee ID was attached to it. I've never taken another call from that address. But sometimes, when a line opens before it rings, I still wait an extra second before speaking. Even now, I can hear in my head the calm voice, the dragging in the background, the second breath that didn't belong. I don't know who she was. I don't know who they were. And I'm not sure I ever want to. I had been working night shifts as a 911 dispatcher for almost 8 years, and I thought I had heard all. Drunk drivers, petty disputes, domestic calls, false alarms. Every scenario seemed predictable. But that night, around 2:17 a.m., a call came through that completely shattered my expectations. The line connected instantly, and before I could even say, 911, what's your emergency? The voice on the other end spoke, quiet but unnervingly precise. I think someone is in my apartment. I don't know how, and I don't know what they want. I need help. Normally, calls start with questions, explanations, or frantic shouting. This one began with a calm, almost clinical observation, and it immediately set me on edge. I asked for her address. She recited it perfectly, numbers and street names with no hesitation, like she had rehearsed it. I typed it into the system, double-checked the coordinates, and dispatched the nearest units. ETA, for minutes. As I asked her to describe the situation, I noticed faint background sounds, a dragging noise that stopped and started, soft enough to almost be ignored, but irregular. I asked her what she could hear. It's moving along the walls, she whispered. Not like a person, not like shadows. It's careful, deliberate, watching, learning. I asked if anyone else was present. No, she said, after a pause. Not anyone I know, but I don't think they're human. They move wrong. Too fast but careful. Too deliberate to be normal. I typed everything as quickly as possible, noting every pause, every inflection, every faint sound in the background. I instructed her to move to the bedroom, lock the door, and remain silent. She complied immediately, detailing each movement. The dresser pushed against the door, checking the windows, crouching low. I updated the officers again with precise details. Furniture placement, window positions, points of entry, and the sound she described. ETA, 3 minutes. She whispered that she could hear faint footsteps outside the door, slow, measured, almost testing the barricade. They know you're listening, she said. My stomach tightened. I hadn't shared my name or any personal info. I asked her to clarify. I don't know how, she said, but they know your voice. They know your name. They can hear you typing everything down. My fingers shook slightly as I logged every detail. She then described a soft scraping sound along the floorboards. It's them, she whispered. Outside, moving along the walls. I instructed her to stay calm, stay low, keep silent. I asked if she could move anywhere else safely. No, she said. They won't let me. They're everywhere. I can feel them. The call went quiet, save for her shallow, irregular breathing. I asked if she could see them. No, she whispered, but the shadows shift when I blink. They move when I'm not looking, but freeze when I glance. Watching, learning. I typed every detail as fast as I could, noting repeated movements, every faint sound. Then she whispered a single word. Hello. It wasn't hers. I checked the console. Signal strong. No interference. I asked if she said it. Silence. Then 2 more words, deliberate, flat. Stop. Leave. The line went dead. I called back repeatedly. No answer. Officers arrived minutes later. The apartment was empty. No footprints, no signs of struggle, no evidence of forced entry. I reviewed the recording. Her calm voice at first became hesitant. Other sounds emerged, scraping, muffled murmurs, and a deep male voice repeating words I didn't recognize, including my own name. I typed everything meticulously, marking the call unverified, though every detail was precise. I replayed the audio multiple times. Each playback revealed faint background noises I had missed live. Creaks, breathing that didn't match hers, subtle thumps against walls. I noted them all, every anomaly. I documented the timeline minutely. Call start, dispatch, updates, officer ETA, pause intervals, unusual sounds. Every detail logged, every pause, every hesitation. Hours later, I went back through the building's surveillance footage. Nothing. No one entering, leaving, or inside the apartment. Nothing explained what I had heard. Nothing explained why the call existed at all. After that, I couldn't stop thinking about the call. I kept replaying the voice in my head, trying to rationalize it, imagining mundane explanations. Prank, miscommunication, someone with a vivid imagination. But nothing fit. The sounds, the way she described movement that didn't align with physics, the words I hadn't heard live. Everything was precise, deliberate, and impossible. I checked every minor detail I could think of: building layout, neighbor activity logs, officer reports, even the weather at the time. Everything was normal, mundane, yet the call remained. The strange voice, calm but terrified, precise but panicked, echoed in my mind. I tried talking about it to colleagues, but they had no explanation. One suggested it was a hallucination, another blamed fatigue, yet neither had been on the line to hear what I heard. Weeks later, I finally drove past the building, hoping to see some sign, anything to rationalize what had happened. The street was empty, windows dark, the apartment silent. But as I passed the building, I swear I heard it again, a faint whisper, dragging along the floor, words repeating my name. I don't know who she was. I don't know what they were. And I don't think I ever want to find out. Even now, months later, I can feel the call in my bones. Every night shift, I double-check my console. Every line, every call, wondering if it will happen again. The strange, calm, precise voice that seemed to know me, that spoke to me, that described a presence I couldn't see, continues to haunt me. I've avoided that neighborhood entirely, but sometimes in the quiet of the dispatch room, I swear I hear faint scratching over the line, soft whispers that sound familiar, and a single word that pierces the silence. Hello. I was working the night shift as a security guard in an old industrial complex on the outskirts of the city. The buildings were mostly abandoned, broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, empty parking lots, and flickering lights in the office areas. I had been on the job for just over 3 months, and the night routine was predictable. Checking cameras every half hour, walking the perimeter, logging anything unusual. That night, around 1:15 a.m., I noticed something on the CCTV monitors. One of the storage buildings, Building C, appeared empty earlier, but now a shadow moved inside, fast but deliberate. I double-checked the cameras. Nothing. I went down the hall to inspect in person. As I approached the entrance, the heavy metal door creaked slightly, even though it had been locked and alarmed. My hand hovered over the lock, feeling the vibration through the metal, the slight hum of electricity from the alarm system. I entered cautiously, flashlights sweeping the dark interior. The air smelled damp, slightly moldy, like the building had been sealed for weeks. Nothing. I shone the light across the empty shelves, crates, and machinery. No movement. I returned to the security office, convinced it had been a glitch. I checked the cameras again. On the monitor, a figure appeared, standing near the far wall. Only for a moment, then gone. I rubbed my eyes. Perhaps fatigue, I thought. But the gut feeling didn't go away. It's one thing to be tired. It's another to feel watched, even when the building is supposed to be empty. I called into my supervisor to report a possible trespasser. He asked me to check the perimeter again and keep the cameras active. ETA for backup, 10 minutes. I grabbed my radio and flashlight and walked along the outside of Building C. The night was quiet. Too quiet. No traffic, no wind, only the faint hum of distant city lights. As I rounded the corner, I saw a door slightly ajar, an office door on the side I hadn't opened that day. I swore I checked it. My hand shook as I pushed it open. Inside, the room was dark, shadows cast by my flashlight swinging across desks, filing cabinets, empty chairs. I called out, "Hello? Security here. Anyone inside?" No answer. Only the faint sound of a tapping noise from the corner, like someone drumming fingers on metal. I froze. The sound stopped when I moved closer. I radioed my supervisor again, whispering, "Something's inside. I don't see anyone, but there's a presence." He told me to stay put, keep my distance. Backup would arrive soon. I waited, flashlight scanning the room, every shadow shifting slightly, though the windows were closed. Then, a low scraping sound came from the far corner. Something was moving along the wall, dragging slowly. I took a cautious step forward, light shaking. A filing cabinet appeared to slide by itself, though I hadn't touched it. My heart raced. I tried to rationalize. A mouse, an animal, maybe whined through a crack. But the sounds persisted, deliberate, methodical. Then I heard it, breathing. Not heavy, not ragged, just slow and controlled. It wasn't human, I realized instantly, though I couldn't explain why. It seemed to echo, coming from multiple directions. I spun around, flashlight catching a shadow darting across the ceiling. Impossible speed, impossible angle. My radio crackled, static. I tried to call out a backup. Nothing. Only a whisper, faint but unmistakable. You shouldn't be here. I stumbled backward, flashlight swinging, catching glimpses of shapes moving against walls, tall, thin, impossible limbs bending the wrong way, vanishing when I looked directly. The tapping, scraping, and whispering continued, surrounding me in a chorus of sound I couldn't place. I backed toward the door, hand on the handle, trying to stay calm. Remember protocol. I told myself it was a hallucination, a trick of fatigue. My phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. We're watching you. Leave or stay forever. I froze. There was no signal in the building, no connection. The text shouldn't have arrived. My mind raced. I reached for my radio. It emitted a soft, static hum, and through it came a distorted voice saying my name. My name. Not security or a guard, but my full name. I ran to the door, yanked it open, and a shadow moved across the threshold, far larger than any human, limbs bending unnaturally. I tripped, flashlight clattering, illuminating nothing but dark hallways. I scrambled to my feet, sprinted toward the exit. Outside, the lot was empty. No backup, no other person, only the faint sound of tapping from inside the building. My heart pounded, lungs burning. I called my supervisor. No answer. I checked the building from the outside. Empty, silent, nothing visible. Only the sense of being observed, still lingering in the cool night air. I quit the next day. I haven't returned. I haven't even driven past that block. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I swear I hear tapping on metal, slow, deliberate, and a whisper saying my name, soft but unmistakable. And I remember that whatever I saw that night was not human, not something that belonged in the world. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's still there. And I don't want to find out.